Oh yeah. I'll practice that. I'll practice that story. So, are we ready? Okay. You reach a certain age in your life as a man where when you go to sleep, you make a certain noise. Any of you married ladies familiar with the noise I'm referring to? I've been accused of it. I do not believe that I make this noise, but there have been times I've made this noise so loud I've woke myself up. So it's very embarrassing to be laid on your back and you go, and you sit up real quick and you're like, Barbara, Barbara, did you hear something? Barbara would be like, oh, yeah, I've been hearing something for about an hour and a half now. Like, oh, okay. What was it? Nothing. Don't worry. Okay. I'll go back to sleep. So I kept Barbara up like that. But now um, um, when Barbara reached a certain age, Barbara started making this noise when she would go to sleep, where all of the air would escape from her lungs at the same time, like just like that. So in the middle of the night, you're half awake, half asleep, everything's dark, and you're just laying there, and you're just starting to fade out, and all of a sudden Barbara would go, ugh! And you're like I would rather you snore than to do that. That's horrible. So anyway, one time I had been studying about spiritual warfare. I'd been reading Frank Peretti books about demons and demonology and all this sort of stuff and everything. So I was geared up. I was ready for an encounter with a demon because I'm telling you, I'd studied and I was ready. I was ready. So I'm laying there half awake, half asleep, and all of a sudden I hear, "Whoa!" And I jump up and I'm like, I know what that is. There is a demon in my house. I know that noise. So I'm ready, and I'm telling you, I'm ready to go to war, spiritual warfare. So I jump up and I land in this. I'm not sure why I thought like a karate pose was going to be a good idea for spiritual warfare, but it just seemed like the thing to do at the time. So I jump up and I'm standing there in. I tell people I say I'm standing there in well less than the full armor of God. Let's put it that way. So I jump up and I'm standing there, and all of a sudden this demon is just beating the snot out of me. I mean, it's just wearing my head out. And I'm trying to rebuke, and it just keeps coming after me. And I'm like, in the name, and I'm trying to rebuke and cast out. I'm doing everything that I can think of to do to get this demon off me because it's about to beat me plumb to death. And finally, I'm standing there, and when I feel like I'm about to just completely fall out, I step back. I'm thinking this should not be. Demons do not have authority over me. They cannot beat up on me like that. It never crossed my mind that directly above our bed was a ceiling fan. And I jump up and stuck my head right in the ceiling fan. And you can rebuke a ceiling fan as much as you want to, and it just keeps coming. And it just doesn't stop. So I looked at Barbara, and Barbara was looking over her shoulder at me, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I still want to be cool for my girlfriend, wife, and everything. So I said, "Well, I'm rebuking the devil." My loving, spirit-filled wife said to me, she said, "Could you rebuke him downstairs? I'm trying to sleep up here, if you don't mind." So that's my ceiling fan spiritual warfare story. Is that good, Jimmy? Oh, keep going. Okay. Y'all going to hear some stories that y'all have heard before. Y'all ever heard about death by skateboard? Have I ever told y'all that story? Oh, y'all remember Simone. Some of you that's heard me tell stories. Simone. Okay. When I was in about it was the summer between the 9th and 10th grade, I had a little girlfriend named Simone. I'd fallen in love with Simone in the 5th grade, the first day of 5th grade. I sat beside her and I fell in love with her. Finally got her to go out on some type of a date with me between 7th and 8th grade when my parents grade, and we stayed together for a long time. So this was somewhere between my 9th and 10th grade year. And there was a guy named Mark moved into our neighborhood, and he was from California, and he looked like he was from California because he had like blonde hair and blue eyes, and he was tan all over. And apparently he was allergic to shirts because apparently he just could not wear one. Because everywhere he went, he never had on a shirt. And my girlfriend noticed a lot. And so that really, I didn't like him because Simone just kind of swooned over him and doted over him and stuff, and I didn't care for that a bit. You can do that if that was a girl and I acted like that, you'd kill me. And so anyway, so one day I was standing out with there was all the kids in the neighborhood. There's me and Simone and Mark was there, And I said something about skateboard. And he said, "Oh, dude, you ride?" And I said, "Yeah." And Simone looked at me and said, "Oh, you do not?" And he said, "Dude, I didn't know you were a skater." And I said, "Yeah, I'm a skater." And Simone was like, "No, you're not. Don't, no, 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 no." And I said, "You don't know everything about me." And Simone said, "Yes, I do." And I said, "You do?" "No." I said, "I skate all the time." And she's like, you do not skate." And I was like, "I do too." And he was like, "Dude." He said, "Get your board." He said, "I didn't think there was anybody in Tennessee that I could shred with." If shows you how old I am using that word, that I could shred with. And I was like, "I'm totally into shred and stuff like that and everything." And Simone was like going, "You the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life." And he said, "Get your board." And I was like, "Okay." So on the way home, I'm thinking, I don't even know where it's at, to be honest with you. I know I've got a skateboard, but I have no idea where it's at. So I go home and I dig it out finally. And I come back and we meet back in the same spot. He's got, of course, very expensive, high dollar board. And I said, "So where do you want to ride?" And he points at this hill. It's called Blueberry Hill in Cleveland. It's huge. It goes on forever upward. It's like the Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin. It's like, and I was like, "There?" And he's like, "Dude, it would be so rad to come down that whole hill." And I was like, "Yeah, it would be." And he said, "Come on, let's get." And I was like, "Okay." And Simone was like, "You're going to die. You are going to die." And I was like, "I am not going to die. I know what I'm doing." And she said, "You have never known what you're doing." So anyway, so I go all the way up to the top of this hill with him, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking down this hill, and he doesn't know it, but in my heart, I'm trying to make peace with Jesus at this point because I'm like, this is probably not going to end well and everything. So he goes, "You want to go first?" I said, "No, man, you go ahead." I'm thinking I would try to buy some time here. So he jumps on a skateboard, down it, he's just flying down through there. And he's looking all cool, and he's got long blonde hair, and it's flowing in the wind. Of course, he doesn't have a shirt on or anything. Of course, that day I didn't have a shirt on either. So he gets down to the bottom of the hill, and all the girls cheer for him, and I'm like, I'm jealous, and I don't like that and everything. So he turns around and he goes, "Come on, man, it's awesome." I was like, "I'm right behind you." So I get on my skateboard, and I'm like, "Dear Jesus, open the gate. I think I'll be there in just a minute." I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there for a bit. So I start out and I'm going down. And I don't know if you've ever ridden on a skateboard, but there's this thing, I call it the death wobble. And it's when your skateboard starts wobbling like this and you're kind of going, it's like your weight's getting tossed all around. You're kind of going, and so I start doing that and I'm thinking, now I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. But this is a big hill, so I'm going like super fast. I'm going, and then I'm start wobbling, and I think this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And I'll never understand how it is that you can be on a skateboard, 125, 130-pound kid on a skateboard going that fast, and you can hit a pebble that big, and the skateboard stops dead. I mean, it doesn't like slow down. It goes, and you can hear that gravel just grind underneath the wheel. So I hit it. Well, the skateboard stopped, and I didn't. I just kept, I was airborne the next thing I knew. And literally, in my brain, this happened in slow motion. I'm going forward, and I think, this is going to hurt so bad. Because there was a parked car, and I came off my skateboard. I hit the grill of the car, the windshield over the top, and I landed on brand new asphalt in the summer on my back with no shirt on. And I went on my bare back on that asphalt. The thing I look back on now and I laugh, I say that moment helped prepare me for marriage. People say, "How is that?" And I say, I was laying there being scorched by that red hot asphalt. The first conscious thought I had was Simone standing over top of me going, "I told you that was stupid. I knew you were going to get hurt. I knew this was bad." It's like, could you call an ambulance or my parents or something, please? I might be dead, I'm not sure, but you can gripe at me later, but could we please? So then I got to spend, this is no exaggeration, I got to spend 4.5 hours in an operating room, not anesthetized, with somebody picking black gravel with a pair of tweezers out of my back. And then they had to clean it, and that's when the fun started. Because they cleaned it with fire, I'm pretty sure. I think they used an acetylene torch to clean my back. So, all right. Oh, my word. So, the first day of the 5th grade. Go ahead.
What about the one when your daughter had her friends come over?
My niece. Oh, turkey hunting with a Buick? Yeah, I'll tell the pig story. That's a true story. That story's not exaggerated much at all. That's a true story. So my brother-in-law is a farmer, and I've always wanted to be a farmer, and I'm like the worst farmer that's ever lived. I would be the only person that could get fired from his own farm. But I wanted to be a farmer. So one day my brother-in-law calls me and says, "Hey, you want a pig?" And I said, "Well, I don't really have anywhere to put a pig." And he said, "No." He said, "We'll get a pig. We'll put them out here on the farm." He said, "You help me keep them up. I'll teach you about taking care of pigs." He said, "We'll split the cost of the food, the vet bills, and all that sort of stuff. And then when it's time to take them to the slaughterhouse, you come help me load them. We'll take them, and then you'll have all the pork you could want." He said, "Your family of 4 can eat off of a good-sized pig for an entire year." And I said, "This will be a good chance to learn." So I said, yeah, I want to do that. So we went and we looked and we picked out pigs. He picked them out. I had no idea what I was picking out. Paid for mine. We took it home and gradually watched that pig grow. Got introduced to pig farming, which includes being called at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's pouring rain and it's cold and the pigs are out of the fence and in the neighbor's yard and the neighbors threatening to shoot them and that sort of stuff. So we got to go get the pigs in the middle of the night in the rain and get them rounded back up and get them back in the fence and then fix the fence so they don't get back out. So needless to say, I learned some tough lessons about farming, but I did learn about farming and about raising pigs. So the day came when it was time to take the pigs to the slaughterhouse. So my brother-in-law, knowing that I'm naive, he says, "Why don't we take your truck?" And I said, "Okay." I didn't think it was any big deal, one way or the other. So I go over to this house, and of course, again, I don't know what it was, but it seemed like every time I dealt with those pigs, it was pouring rain. So go over there, and it's pouring rain. I mean, it is pouring rain. We had built the coolest little ramp chute that you could back a pickup truck to, and it would meet, same height. It would meet just perfect. And he said the reason he wanted to use my truck is because it had a camper on it. And I said, "Okay, well, that makes sense." So I let down the tailgate, pop open the camper, back up, boom, till I'm right there, everything. And he says, now what we got to do is we got to get the pigs in the truck. And I said, "Okay." So how do we do that? And he said, "Well, the fun's about to start." I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "They don't willingly go in the truck." And I said, "That thing weighs 400 pounds. What am I going to do to convince it?" He said, "Well, I'll show you some tricks." So the first pig, we got this big piece of plywood, and you walk it, and the pig just backs up from it until you get it to the fence, and then you walk it around the fence over to the chute, and it walks up right into the back of the truck. I mean, you could have scripted it better than that. That's the most cooperative pig that has ever lived, let me tell you. Most cooperative pig I've ever seen in my life. Not that I've seen a lot of pigs, but that one was very cooperative. The second one was mine. It was not cooperative. You'd start to walk it, and it would stop and back up. Or, it being 400 pounds, it would decide, "I'm just going to knock you out of the way." So he'd just throw himself against you, 400 pounds against like 180. I'm going to lose that every single time. So I got knocked down several times in the rain, in the pig pen, in the mud, in the mud. And we kept trying to do everything we could to get that pig in there. We took sticks and beat that pig. We did everything under the shining sun. And that pig would not go up that ramp. Finally, my brother-in-law gets aggravated. He throws down the plywood and he says, "I'm done with this. I'm going to get that pig in that truck." And I said, "Okay." When he gets mad, I've learned, just leave him alone. So he goes stomping off to the barn, and I'm standing there trying to negotiate with Pig. "Just get in the truck. You're going to one way or the other. Just get in the truck." So he comes walking back, and he was carrying something I'd never seen before. It was a long stick that had a handle on it. And I was looking at it, and I thought, "What is that?" And he gets in, and he comes over to the pig, and he touches it on the butt with that thing, and it goes, pop! It's a cattle prod. And he popped out, and that pig squealed and started running. He said, "Now, you get the plywood," and he said, and every time it starts to back up, I'm going to pop it." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing." So I'm standing there in this torrential downpour. I am soaking wet. I I have this big piece of plywood. We get the pig, and it starts going, and it's backing up, and he's popping, and it's backing up, and then it's pushing against me, and I'm pushing back, and he's popping against it, and it gets its head around, and he says, pin it, which means he wanted me to pin it up against the fence so that it couldn't get around me. And so I did the only thing that I could think of. He meant pin it with the plywood. So I did the most convenient thing to me, which was take my knee and throw it against the pig like that, and I grabbed its ear, and I did all of that at the exact same moment that he popped it on the backside with that cattle prod. So I was just like this living, breathing conduit, and it went boom through me, and I stood there for a second, and everything was kind of fuzzy, and I was like, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Nope." He said, "Do you need to sit down?" I said, "I think I do." So I sat down, and I mean, I don't know if you've ever been this close to electricity, but I could smell it. It's like it's like I could taste like this fuzzy, weird taste and smell in the back of my and everything. Finally, we got the pig loaded up, and he said, "You want me to drive?" And I said, "Yeah," because I'm still not sure I'm okay from this, because I don't know if you've ever had that much electricity go through. It's a weird feeling. It's a very weird feeling. So we go around and we get in the truck and I sit down, and the pigs are going crazy in the back of the truck. So we're sitting here in the truck going, and I was like, "Is that normal?" And he said, "Yeah, it's pretty normal." So here we go. We're driving through downtown Cleveland. We pull up to a red light. We're sitting there in our trucks going, and I look over and there's this old couple. And they're looking at us. I was like, Michael said, "Don't explain. Just keep your hands down and look straight ahead." I said, "Okay." So we get them there, and we unload them. And the guy takes them off. He says, "Give me 3 days." And I said, "Okay." So then we take Michael back to his house, and I get in my truck, and I start to go home. And Michael says, "You probably need to go by the car wash." I said, "Okay, why?" And he said, "Well, you're probably going to want to wash out the back of your truck." And I said, "Oh." He said, "There's a lot of mud back there." And I said, "Real foul-smelling mud." He said, "Yeah, probably a lot of foul-smelling mud." I said, "All right." So I pull into the car wash. I'm soaked. I'm still reeling from, I think it did my heart good. In my mind, that must be what those electric paddles do to a person, because that's the way I felt. I thought, I don't know if I'm invigorated or dying. I'm not sure. So I get out of my truck and I go around, and I'm like, just get it done. I just want to go home. That's all I want to do is go home, take a shower, clean up. So I open up the tailgate and the camper. I look in, and sure enough, oh man, it's everywhere, everywhere. Not to be graphic, but there's more pig poop than I'd ever seen anywhere in my life. All over. And I'm like, we just drove from the farm to, good grief. So I put my money in, and it comes on, and it's got those big wands with all that pressure in it. So I stand there, and I go, it didn't really dawn on me that when water goes in with all that pressure, it's got to go somewhere, right? So I go, and it goes, I went home and I said, "I've been shot with a giant pig poop cannon," because it plastered me. And I remember standing there for a minute. I was so defeated. I just put the thing up, walked around, got in the truck, started it, and drove home. I thought, I'll deal with this later. And then I got home, and Barbara was like, "Oh." She said, "Just go straight upstairs." So I went up and got in the shower. So that's my pig farming experience. Oh, man. I'm running out of gas here. Do what? Yeah. I stopped and grabbed something on the way up here. Okay. So, I've told the ceiling fan for years, and people seem to like that. I'm working on a lot of new stories as I go along. So, Campfire Angel. Yeah. One time when my daughter was little, I'm leaving out a lot of details because I haven't sat down and thought them through, so my stories are better than this, I promise. But we used to go camping when my kids were little because of the fact that everything was so expensive, because there was me and Barbara and then my 2 kids, and my 2 kids had to bring about 2 friends each to everything that we did. Y'all remember those days when you had 3 kids and took 8 everywhere you went and stuff like that. That's about the way we were. We had 2 kids, and I swear everywhere we went, we took 4 or 5 kids. So we went camping, and we did a lot of camping. And this was when Candace was little bitty. Candace was, I guess she was about Lily's age now, which is about 4 years old. And we sat down, we had a campfire going, and Candace had been wild that evening. That's why I get tickled when Candace talks about Lily being crazy wild, and I'm like, she's exactly like you were at that age. Candace would get so much energy that it's just like you just tried to contain her to an area because you couldn't keep up with her or anything like that, and you couldn't get her to sit down, be still, or anything like that. So you just kind of chased her and corralled her and kept her, in an area. So we've been doing that. Barbara was getting real cranky with her, and I think everybody else was about to get real cranky with her because she'd been driving everybody crazy all day long. And so I said, everybody just go to bed if you want to. I said, I'll stay up with Candace. I'll get her wound down, and then me and her will come and get in the tent in a little bit. So I said, I'll get her wound down and stuff. She and I were very, very close when she was little. And so she bounced around for a little while, and I said, come over here and sit with me. Come here and sit. And she said, no. And I said, well, I'm going to roast marshmallows, so if you want, you're going to have to come sit with me. And then that quick, she was ready to come and sit with me. So she came over and sat. We roasted marshmallows for a little while, and she started leaning back against me, and I thought, she's winding down. And she said, because I did a lot of this when she was little, I never thought of myself as a storyteller, though, but she said, tell me a story. And I said, okay. I said, what story do you want me to tell you? And she said, tell me a brand new one. I said, okay. So I thought for a minute, and I said, one time there was a family that had been through a really bad time. I said, somebody that they really loved had died, and it was just so hard for them. And Candace always interjected through the story. She'd say, oh, that's sad. I said, yeah, it was very sad. And I said, and everybody, the whole family was sad all the time, every day. And she said, that's awful. I know, that's awful. And I said, but then one day, God looked at that family, and he said, all those people have been sad for long enough. I'm going to do something that's going to make all those people smile again. And Candace is gobbling it up. She's looking at me, and her eyes are getting big. I said, so God took special clay, and he molded it, and he shaped it, and he made it into a little bundle. And he said, now, I've got to put this somewhere until this angel is grown all the way, and I can share this angel with everybody. And so he took it and he tucked it away and he hid it, and he kept checking on it, and he kept forming it and making it into more and more of this perfect little angel that was going to make this whole family smile again. And so he worked on it. Finally, the day came, and it was time. And God said, all right, now it's time to share this angel with that family. And he shared that angel with the whole family. And every day since then, everybody in that whole family smiles all the time because of that angel. Candace said, really? I said, really? I'm not kidding. She said, that's amazing. I said, yeah, it is. And so she's getting sleepy, so we sat there for a minute. And to be honest, I thought she had dozed off. And finally she said, hey, Dad? I said, yeah, what? She said, that angel in that story? I said, yeah. And she said, it's me, isn't it? And I said, yeah, of course it's you. I said, how did you know that? She said, I just figured when you talked about angels, you were talking about me. I said, yeah, I was talking about you. She sat there, she was real quiet for a little while, and I thought she'd doze off again. She said, do I really make everybody smile? And I said, Candace, it doesn't matter how bad, awful of a terrible day I've ever had. All I have to do is think about your sweet little face. And I said, and it always makes me smile every single time. My daughter was 4. She's 30 now, and she can tell you that story better than I can. That stuck with her that long. And to this day, if she says it plainly, she says, don't mess with me. I'll take my smile back away from you. And so that's her big threat. I'll make you not smile. It's like, I believe you can. And so I'm about out.
I think we're good.
Okay.
I just sent him a question. He's typing back.
Okay. What? Oh, that's another one that's not very exaggerated. That's pretty true. For somebody that hates.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. As